A mysterious virus appears during the Industrial Revolution that transforms infected humans into Kabane and rapidly spreads. Kabane are aggressive, undead creatures that cannot be defeated unless the glowing golden heart, which is protected by a layer of iron, is pierced or an important body part is completely severed. Unfortunately, most melee weapons and the steam pressure guns used by the Bushi are not very effective against them. On the island country of Hinamoto, people have built fortress-like stations to shelter themselves from these creatures. People access the stations and transport goods between them with the help of fortified steam locomotives. An armored train passes an abandoned station and gets attacked by several Kabane. The Bushi on the train fight and defeat them, but one is bitten, and the rest force him to commit suicide to prevent him from turning and endangering the rest. In the meantime, at Aragane Station, Ikoma, a young steamsmith, works on a powerful piercing gun capable of killing the Kabane. On the next day, Ikoma, while doing his regular job, explains his progress with Takumi, realizes his mistake for the gun, and wants to go home and work on it, but they receive news that Kaotetsuju arrives. While they perform cleaning on the train, Ikoma steals some Kabane body parts. Kenshu Yamagawa, the leader of the Yamagawa family, welcomes and excuses Mumei and Shimon, two passengers on the train, from the mandatory Kabane inspection. The inspection finds an infected person who tries to run while stating he isn't a Kabane. Ikoma interfered in protecting the man, stating they needed to lock him and not kill him, as that's the rule the Bushi made themselves. That only annoys the Bushi, who then attack Ikoma, and the Kabane hearts he collected get seen. The man is then shot, and as he dies, everyone realizes he wasn't infected, while Ikoma gets thrown in jail on suspicion of being Kabane. During the night, Mumei sneaks out and visits Ikoma, as she is intrigued by his personality and beliefs. Another Heijiro, Fusauju, arrives at the station. The defensive bridge gets lowered, but as the train is taken over by the Kabane, it crashes at the defensive wall, allowing the Kabane to attack the station. An emergency is announced, and Ikoma manages to escape jail and heads home. He manages to lure a Kabane into his house to test his gun. As he kills the Kabane, he starts celebrating, only to find out he got bitten. On the other hand, Shimon gets bitten too, and he instructs Mumei to continue to Kongo Kaku and await their master orders. He then proceeds and takes his life. Ikoma starts transforming into Kabane, and to prevent it, he uses several painful and dangerous methods to prevent his blood from flowing and carrying the virus to his brain. As he successfully does so, he reverts the transformation to his human form. Meanwhile, Mumei faces and kills a Kabane using a blade in her shoe. Ikoma somehow survives, stopping the virus from infecting him and keeping his humanity. Takumi arrives looking for Ikoma, and Ikoma explains that his gun worked and that he got bitten but stopped the infection. Meanwhile, I Am Yamagawa and other survivors fight a defensive battle against the Kabane and seek the opportunity to escape to Kaotetsuju. Mumei arrives in battle gear, offering to clear the way so Yukina, the only remaining engineer, can command the Kaotetsuju. She heads into the Kabane group, leading them away and killing them. Ikoma and Takumi attempt to board the train but are stopped for inspection. Two Kabane appear, and Ikoma wants to fight them, but Mumei arrives and kills them. She sees something's different about Ikoma and vouches for him so he can board the train. Ayama gives her master key to start the train. Kirusu Kanachi, Bushi serving Ayam, wants Mumei to help them defend the train, but she refuses and falls asleep. Hordes of corpses are now rushing to the train. Ikoma helps fend off a Kabane, showing his gun, but in the process, his shining, infected heart is exposed, and Kirusu shoots him off out of the iron fortress. A group of Kabane gets on the train tracks, and Ayami sees her father Kenshu among them. They run him over, but when they stop to lower the drawbridge, a Kabane body part is blocking the mechanism. Kirusu wants to go and lower the manual lever, and while he argues with his subordinate, they see Ikoma fighting and killing the Kabane. Wanting to know they were saved by the man they abandoned, he goes and lowers the lever. The train continues to leave Ikoma, but Takumi throws a rope for Ikoma to grab, but he is not taking it. That is when Mumei jumps down to grab him back on the train. Kirusu gives Ikoma a suicide bag and wants him to kill himself. Mumei intervenes and reveals that they are Kabaneri, beings between humans and Kabane. Mumei reveals she is a Kabaneri. Kirusu wants to kill her and Ikoma, but Ayami stops him and reminds them they were saved by those two. The Iron Fortress is headed for Kongo Kaku, the Shogun's greatest stronghold, and Mumei wants to stay on board, promising to stay in the same train car. However, the passengers are not trusting the Kabaneri and are unhappy with the lack of food and water. Mumei explains that she is heading to Kongo Kaku on a mission she can't reveal and that after fighting for a while, she needs to sleep to recover. Because of that, she wants Ikoma to be her shield and protect her during sleep. But since he is useless at the moment, she begins training him personally in preparation for future attacks. She feels a Kabane presence and rushes out of the car looking for it, causing panic among the passengers. Kirusu arrives and thinks she wants to kill, and she will kill her first. Mumei couldn't explain her reasons to Ayami for leaving the car, but then Ayami gets informed they are low on water and need to restock. They stop to fix the water tank and restock on water. Ayami uses the opportunity to hold a vigil at the passenger's request. Mumei wonders if Ikoma is going to pray and what the stone on his hand is, as it hurts when he hits her with it. Ikoma says that 5 years ago, their station was attacked by Kabaneri, he lost his family, and his sister was bitten. Ikoma naturally ran away, even though he wanted so much to save her, even if it meant dying with her. When he returned, he was filled with regret but knew it was too late. His sister was gone. He destroys her body before she turns into a Kabaneri. The stone was commonly found in the river around where they lived, and he kept it as a memento for his sister. A group of passengers gather, planning on killing the Kabaneri, and Mumei comes out to fight them. Ayami arrives and stops the fight. Disappointed, Mumei goes to the other passengers. Ayami attacks Ikoma to prove that he isn't an enemy, and Ikoma tells her about his vow to his sister to kill the Kabane, appeasing the passengers' fears and making them disband. Mumei tells Kajika that she is hungry, and since she is half Kabane, she needs blood. That causes the passengers to fear her, but then a pregnant woman turns into Kabane and Mumei proceeds to kill her. Meanwhile, Ayami apologizes to Ikoma for attacking him, but soon Ikoma passes out, and as she tries to help him, he wakes up delirious from his own need for blood and tries to bite Ayami. People were unable to understand what was happening as Mumei killed a pregnant Kabane woman, whom they thought was human. Kirusu pushes Ikoma away from Ayami, and Ikoma comes to his senses. A large group of Kabane then appear from the forest, and they are forced to get back on the train. Iron Fortress manages to carry on its journey before the corpses reach. As the fear of the Kabaneri grew, the 6 chiefs, led by Akuji, made Ayami hand over the master key of Iron Fortress. Akuji then reroutes the train for the mountains to provide a shorter route to Kongo Kaku, in spite of being a more dangerous path. Takumi, Kajika, and Sukari are considered traitors and are then sent to the last train car with Mumei and Ikoma. By the 6 chiefs' orders, some men try to detach the last car, however, in that moment, Kabane ambushes the train and jumps on it. Among them is a sword-wielding Witori, who enters the train and starts killing people. Ayami and Kirusu then lead the Bushi to fight and hold off the Kabane until the surviving passengers escape to the front cars. Kirusu then fights the remaining Kabane with his sword skills. Meanwhile, Mumei and Ikoma escape the last car and move towards the front car while on top of the train, but Mumei soon falls asleep from exhaustion and hunger. The Witori reaches Kirusu, and he starts fighting him. As he attempts to pierce his heart, Kirusu's sword breaks, and the Witori stabs Kirusu. As the Bushi were barely holding against the Witori, Ikoma arrived and asked for blood in order to be able to fight the Witori. Ayami then slashes her arm and offers him her blood in exchange for him fighting for them. Ikoma then takes her blood and goes and easily kills the Witori with his gun. As everyone cleans up the walls and floors of Iron Fortress, Ayami then regains the master key and declares that the Kabaneri will remain on the train and that she will be providing them with her blood. As she alone won't be able to provide all the blood they need, Ikoma's friends and some others also volunteer to give their blood. Ikoma helps the Bushi by developing guns and swords capable of killing the Kabane. 2 men cause commotion over an argument for food, and that annoys Mumei and scares the children. She then beats up both of them. The train arrives at Yashiro Station, and they realize the station was attacked by Kabane and there are some survivors remaining. They rescue the survivors, who talk of a black fog before the attack. Mumei meets an old friend, Inoku, a crippled fighter loyal to her brother, the young master. He tells her that the shogunate is acting suspiciously and is stockpiling weapons capable of only killing humans. He advises her to complete her mission while she is still human and not be thrown out like him. Debris is blocking the train tracks, and Ikoma suggests a cautious plan using a crane to safely remove the debris. Mumei agrees to join them but won't fight with them and insists on a head-on clash, calling them cowards. Ikoma leads a group of Bushi and engineers to start the crane, but after seeing how Mumei ignores his warning and heads straight into the boiler room where all the Kabane are, he heads her way. Mumei enters the boiler room and starts fighting the Kabane, killing all of them, including a Witori, but as more appear, she goes after them. As Ikoma's group follows Mumei, they see the large number of Kabane she took down. When Ikoma starts to activate the boiler, the Kabane that Mumei killed provokes a large mass of Kabane that is located at the bottom of the station. Ikoma calls for a retreat and decides to stay and operate the crane. A weakening Mumei uses her remaining energy to fight and hold off the Kabane from the crane, but a melee Witori comes and throws her off the crane platform. Ikoma leaves the crane before clearing the debris and heads towards Mumei. He kills the Witori and reaches Mumei, but then, after some tremors, a giant shadowy figure appears. The black smoke is revealed to be a colony of Kabane fused together. Having no choice, the Iron Fortress retreats to the train station workshop and seals the door. Ikoma finds Mumei trapped under rubble and tries to get her out. Meanwhile, on Iron Fortress, the committee is discussing their options for escaping and whether they will leave the Kabaneri behind or not. Ikoma fails to free Mumei. She panics when she thinks she is going to turn into a Kabaneri, so Ikoma lets her drink some of the blood reserves he has. As Kabane approaches, he decides to leave them away and fight them, killing as many as he can. As Mumei loses and regains her consciousness, he recalls her past and how her mother died. Everyone got so crazy that they even started suspecting humans and killing them. One of those unfortunates was Mumei's mom. She was about to meet her same fate, but somebody saved her in time. By the time she wakes up, Kibito and his team have come to rescue her. She is worried about Ikoma, then rushes to find him, but apparently he is alive despite taking in all those bites, and they return to Iron Fortress together. While the black smoke is distracted and takes in Kabane bodies, Mumei explains its fused colony. Sukari had noticed earlier a Type 48 cannon, and Iron Fortress had gone and taken it. Mumei explains that a single Kabane had become the fused colony heart and that they needed to expose it, and she would kill it. Meanwhile, Ikoma cleared the debris from the tracks. As Iron Fortress go, the fused colony goes after them. Takumi fires the cannon a bit early, and that only causes Kabane to land on the train. Ikoma, Kirusu, and the Bushi take care of the Kabane. As the fused colony approaches the front cars, Takumi sees an opportunity and shoots the cannon again, hitting the heart and revealing it. Mumei immediately jumps to take out the heart, and to her surprise, the heart is a fellow Kabaneri comrade turned Kabane. As she takes it out, the fused colony disbands, and Iron Fortress manages to leave the station. Ikoma copies a sword move from Kirusu, with Mumei commenting that Kabaneri are good at copying others. Kirusu gets a bit annoyed and easily hits Ikoma to show him he hasn't learned anything, but Takumi tells Ikoma to copy that move too, which annoys Kirusu even more. The Iron Fortress then arrives at Witori Station, and the passengers are happy to learn that the station is still occupied by humans. Ayami leaves the 6 chiefs in charge of the Iron Fortress while he meets the station lord. Ayami gives an item of value so they can sell it and purchase bamboo for the Tanabata ceremony so people can hang their wishes on it. Ikoma and the group go for supplies. Ayami is tired of waiting for the lord, so she makes Kirusu shoot one of his jet guns. That attracts the attention of the station minister, who after a small demonstration is amazed by the jet guns, and they exchange food provisions for the jet bullet technology intervened by Ikoma. Seeing the bamboo, Mumei remembers that she had celebrated Tanabata before and runs away. When Ikoma finds her, she tells him her past and that her name was Hazumi. Ikoma promises her that he will turn her human again and that she will eat rice just like her mother wanted her to do so. That evening, they started hanging their wishes on the bamboo. Seeing how small dreams people have, Ikoma shares his dream of killing all Kabane, and Ayami reveals her dream is to reopen the Aragane station. Followed by their example, everyone starts sharing their dream. The next day, the Heijiro Kokuju arrives with the Hunter Squad, an independent army formed to hunt Kabane, led by Biba Witori, the shogun's son and Mumei's big brother. However, Ikoma is suspicious of Biba and wants to find out if he is really a hero or something else. Mumei introduces Biba Witori to Ayami, and he reveals he is Mumei's big brother in name only and that he is no longer considered the shogun's son. Ikoma tells Biba he knows him as the one who told Mumei the weak must die. Biba then invites them inside the Heijiro to talk. But on his way there, he stops to help out with some train repairs, and Ikoma decides to help too. Meanwhile, Aru seemingly attacks Ayami and Kirusu, but he was just killing a spider. Biba tells Ikoma that he isn't casting anyone away but trying to save them, just like how Mumei decided to save herself by fighting the Kabane. Kabane had been led to the station, and they attacked it. Biba Hen leads his Heijiro outside of the station and deploys his troops, easily destroying all Kabane. Mumei and Horobai, another Kabaneri, team up to take on a Witori Kabane who was using 2 other Kabane as shields. Inoku emerges behind Biba, telling him he can still serve him, but Biba kills him, as he had seen through his betrayal, which Ikoma sees and gets angry at. Meanwhile, Sahari deals with the other men who were plotting Biba's assassination with Inoku. Biba offers Ayami and Kokuju to accompany Iron Fortress to Kongo Kaku, which she accepts. Ikoma speaks with Takumi and tells him that he believes that Biba turned Mumei into a Kabaneri for his own purposes and feels the presence of Kabane in the front cars of Kokuju. Meanwhile, Biba gives Mumei orders to get Iron Fortress's master key from Ayami. In the front compartment of the train, Biba is keeping a cage filled with Kabaneri. He interrogates Hiratsuka, one of the men that plotted against him, on whose orders he was left to die 10 years ago on the battlefield since his side was in charge of the supplies. Fearing for his life, Hiratsuka reveals it was the shogun. I.M. is surprised that Mumei is being pushy for her key. Yukina hears this and gives her a key to the boiler room. Mumei is surprised. Biba tells her it is not the right key. Ikoma goes to the front cars, and Mumei is told that if he enters, they will have to kill him. She goes out and reveals that the Kabane are there for experiments and that she became Kabaneri on her own will and refuses to go with Ikoma. As Mumei leaves, Ikoma tells Ayami and Takumi that Biba isn't a hero, as he was smiling when he killed Inoku. Meanwhile, Biba kills Hiratsuka and smiles again. Kokuju and Iron Fortress arrive at Iwado Station, the last before Kongo Kaku, but by the shogun's orders, the samurai are preventing entry for Kokuju and Biba. Ayami is relieved that they are parting ways with the hunters and asks Ikoma to get Mumei. Lord Mida, leader of the fortress, agrees to a meeting with Biba on the condition that only women and children accompany him. Ayami is meeting with Mida first, when Biba comes with Horobai and Mumei. As the meeting starts, Mumei leaves, saying that she needs to go to the toilet. Takumi sees her and informs Ikoma. Mumei knocks out the guards on her way to lower Iwado Station's drawbridge, believing she is only letting Kokuju inside as per Biba's request, but then sees how Biba's men bring Biba's Kabane inside Iwado. As the alarm for Kabane rings, Biba and Horobai take out Mida's men, and Biba then proceeds to kill Mida. Mumei is horrified by what her actions have led to. She is left feeling guilty in the wake of the destruction she has indirectly caused. The heartbreak of seeing a child being bitten and her mother painfully commits double suicide. Kirusu goes to find Ayami but sees her being taken as a hostage by Biba and Kokuju. Biba's men then proceed to kill the Bushi at the station as retribution for the shogun's cowardice over the past 10 years. Biba injects Horobai with a blue blood serum so that she can become the heart of a fused colony, anew, and she starts gathering Kabane to form the beast. Horobai manages to destroy the gate and open a path towards Kongo Kaku. The Kabane virus overtook Horobai, leading to the dissolution of the fused colony. Sawarada comments that it was too late to save her by giving her white blood. Kirusu comes to Ayami's rescue but falls off the train with Sao. Becoming Kabane, Horobai turns against Biba's men and starts killing them. When she faces Biba, she stops her attack and comes to her senses. However, Biba then kills her without mercy as she had served her purpose. Biba's men capture all remaining Bushi and Iron Fortress passengers, along with Ikoma, as Biba is interested in his blood. Those who are bitten are immediately exterminated. Seeing all the destruction, death, and Biba's actions, Mumei realizes that all he had told her was a lie. Biba had taken Iron Fortress and his passengers, using their blood to feed his Kabane. While Takumi was giving blood, he saw a hunter's member, Warabi, who cut the arm of another man just for fun and got angry. He goes to Ikoma, who tells him they will make their move tomorrow night when they come for blood again. Biba offers a deal to Ayami. If she can open the gates to Kongo Kaku using her uncle and arrange a meeting with his father, he will guarantee the safety of her people. Wondering what his plan is, Biba tells her about the time his father sent him with 400 troops to Kyushu to exterminate the Kabane. They were winning, but when replacement supplies stopped arriving, they were overrun and wiped out. His father was behind all of this, and he wants to punish his father with his own hands. Meanwhile, Ikoma reveals his plan for taking control of Kokuju's front car. Mumei goes to Biba, asking why he is taking Iron Fortress's passengers' blood. He realizes she fears him and tells her that he will give her a message so that the passengers won't be hurt if they remain peaceful. As she leaves, Biba comments that she needs serious repairs. Next night, Ikoma starts his rebellion. Takumi wants to beat up Sukari but Ikoma stops him, revealing that Sukari had been feeding information while pretending to be part of the hunters. Ikoma fights Warabi, but Takumi intervenes and knocks him out, and they continue making their way towards the front cars. Learning about the rebellion, Biba tells Mumei to handle it, threatening her that if she doesn't, he will stop giving her medicine and she will turn into Kabane. But Mumei refuses, wanting to be together with the passengers and eat rice. As Biba's men try to hold her down, she attempts to run, but Biba has been giving her smaller doses of blood, resulting in faster exhaustion, and she gets captured and sedated. Ikoma and Takumi continue ahead, But one of the keys doesn't work, and they get ambushed by Biba and his men, as he had anticipated that if he starts a revolt, it will be today, and had swapped the keys. He then shoots at Ikoma, but Takumi protects Ikoma with his body and gets killed by Biba. Sahari then starts beating Ikoma and then blows up his hand. Biba calls for Mumei and orders her to kill Ikoma. Being under his drug, she obeys his order and stabs Ikoma, who then falls off the train into a coast far below. Kajika and the rest find Takumi dead and mourn him. Kajika even dares the hunters to just kill them all. Biba tells Mumei about how his father attacked him out of fear when he was young and injects Mumei with black blood so she can turn into a new. The shogun Akamasa Amatori announces that Biba has destroyed Iwado Station, but he assures his people that Kongo Kaku is impenetrable and then kills the only communication operator who knew about the black fog monster to not spread fear among the people. Iron Fortress arrives at Kongo Kaku, and Ayami pretends to have captured Biba prisoner because he held Iron Fortress's passengers hostage. She is allowed entry by Kongo Kaku and meets his uncle, and then she and Biba are taken to see the shogun. Meanwhile, Ikoma is still alive and washed up on the shore, but he has lost his will to live and fight. He thought a Kabaneri was nearby, but it was Kirusu who had taken Sao hostage, and Ikoma told him what happened. Meeting with the shogun, he finds a blade he had given Biba long ago, and Biba asks the shogun to kill him himself. The shogun then prepares to draw the blade, but notices his hands getting pierced by something while grabbing the blade handle. Biba then tells a story of how he survived and that there are Kabane among people, and he can identify them, saying that people should kill those that show signs of Kabane. The shogun then starts turning into Kabane as the blade had injected him with the virus, and some of his men start shooting at him. Biba then frees himself and kills the shogun, telling him that fear killed him. Biba announces that there are more Kabane hiding among them, and his men infect some people, causing panic among the people, and they start killing each other out of fear. His men open the gates, and Kokuju enters and releases Kabane into the stronghold. Kirusu tells Ikoma that his wound required precision to not kill him, making Ikoma realize Mumei was still there. As he informs Ikoma that Mumei will be used as black fog, he asks how to tell him more about the virus, and he tells him that if they inject her with white blood, they can still save her. Meanwhile, Mumei walks into the stronghold, sees the dead people, and turns into new, taking all of them. Ikoma tells Sao to give him the black blood. Although it will accelerate the virus and shorten his life, it will give him power in order to kill Biba and save Mumei. Sao tells him that he won't turn into new as he is male and that he needs to take off his retrain or he won't realize his full power. Ikoma injects himself with the black blood, removes his restraint, and turns into Kabane. Biba's plan is a success, and Kongo Kaku is in ruins, overrun by the Kabane. Ikoma and Kirusu enter Kongo Kaku and draw the Kabane's attention towards them, killing as many as they encounter. Ayami reasons with the surviving humans, making them stop attacking each other in fear and offering them a chance to leave Kongo Kaku with her people in the Iron Fortress. Sahari notices Ikoma, notifies Biba, and then attempts to kill him, but with Kirusu's help, Ikoma manages to take the hunters. Sahari tries to run him over with Kokuju, but using his black blood power, Ikoma blasts the train and destroys it. Sahari goes to fight Ikoma up close, but Ikoma kills him. Ikoma manages to get closer to Mumei's new, but she is delusional, recalling old memories and seeing butterflies. As the black blood starts to overtake her, Mumei's new collapses. Ikoma reaches her, only to be intercepted by Biba. Biba stabs Ikoma and breaks his arm, but Ikoma, focusing his rage into energy, breaks his sword and pushes him away. Ikoma then loses his eyesight and hearing, and Biba manages to sneak up on him, intending to finish him, but Mumei realizes Ikoma is nearby and calls for him. She then drops the memento stone on his sister. Ikoma hears it fall in the water and turns, hitting Biba and blowing up his arm, revealing that Biba is also a Kabaneri. Ikoma goes to Mumei and injects her with the white blood, disintegrating the new and saving her. Mumei wakes up to find Ikoma collapsed nearby and Biba charging at him, intending to keep fighting or he will kill Ikoma there. He refuses to listen to Mumei, forcing her to pierce his heart as she tells him that sometimes she wishes he had listened to her. She tells him that even though they are weak, they will continue living and strive for a future where they can eat rice. As he collapses, she tells him her name is Hazumi. Meanwhile, Ayami and others wonder how to escape Kongo Kaku. Aru arrives and offers that if they let them on Iron Fortress, he will tell them. When Ayami agrees, he reveals that Ikoma and Kirusu are also in Kongo Kaku. Kajika then uses the radio station announcements to call for them and tell them where they need to go to escape. Mumei and Kirusu then carry the unconscious Ikoma towards the Iron Fortress, manage to board it, and leave Kongo Kaku's crumbling city just in time. The effects of the black blood start to diminish, and Ikoma wakes up. Mumei realizes that Biba had given white blood to Ikoma while both of them were unconscious. Mumei then returns Ikoma's memento stone. The anime ends here. Thank you for watching till the end, and please don't forget to subscribe.